Discover the heartwarming twist. COS mother revealed a life-changing mistake after 12 years. Michael stood on the threshold of his sleek office, the hum of a bustling Midwestern town echoing outside. The big merger was just a heartbeat away, a deal that could propel his tech company into the stratosphere. But as he gazed out, the glimmer of success was overshadowed by an impending storm. His mother, Linda, her hands trembling, had just asked him to sit down. He could feel the gravity of the moment. "Michael, I need to tell you something I've kept hidden for too long," she said, her voice quavering. Tears pooled in her eyes, making his heart pound. A bombshell. A truth he never saw coming. 12 years ago, in a moment of desperation, she made a decision for their family that spiraled into years of struggle. The ground seemed to tilt beneath him. Those were years of sleepless nights, of ramen dinners illuminated by flickering lights. Linda had worked late at the diner, her hands worn but her spirit unbreakable. Every check she brought home was a tender reminder of love and sacrifice. Michael thought he understood the American dream, climbing out of poverty, building a better life. Now he was grappling with betrayal and heartache stemming from the woman who taught him the meaning of resilience. "How could you?" he whispered, searching her eyes for the explanation that would mend his turmoil. The weight of family loyalty collided with his burgeoning success, leaving him breathless with anger, sadness, and confusion. The belief that he had triumphed against all odds wavered. Could his mother's choices rewrite their story? Before he could formulate a response, a flicker of a solution sparked in his heart when he encountered Jamal, a teenager with a sharp mind and a flickering hope despite his circumstances. Watching Jamal talk about his dreams filled Michael with a warmth he had thought lost. Here was a chance not just to mentor but to teach, to give back the hope instilled in him by Linda. The first time they met, Jamal grinned ear to ear, bright eyes full of ambitions that mirrored Michael's own. They spent hours at coffee shops discussing coding, entrepreneurship, and the power of resilience. Michael's heart swelled as he shared his journey. Each closing chapter of his past became a beacon of hope for Jamal. Suddenly, his heartache felt less like a burden and more like a bridge to understanding. But the clock was ticking. Investors demanded unwavering focus on the upcoming merger. "Michael, don't lose sight of what matters," his assistant voiced quietly but firmly, her eyes wide, clearly worried. Michael felt torn. Was the legacy of ambition worth risking a blossoming opportunity to join something larger? Could he really stray from the success he had chased so relentlessly? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue as the merger countdown raced forward. Michael faced the dilemma head-on. In the stillness of the night, he could hear the rustle of the town he so loved, the whispers of ambition and dreams echoing around him. His mentor role tugged at him in a way he never imagined. Could he weave his past mistakes into a greater narrative? Standing at this crossroads stirred a potent realization. Perhaps success wasn't merely measured in wealth and fortune. Perhaps it was about love, grit, and giving back a legacy that could flourish beyond boardrooms and balance sheets. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, highlighting the beauty of choices yet made, one question lingered. Could he choose to elevate his community, or would he allow ambition to dictate his fate? Michael woke up the next morning, the weight of his mother's revelation still pressing heavily on his chest. As he sipped his coffee, the familiar bitterness was lost on him. His mind raced back and forth between the merger and Jamal, a tussle between corporate triumph and personal redemption. He stood up, moved to the window, and looked out over the city. The early morning light illuminated the streets that had been filled with his dreams. How could he reconcile those dreams with the storm brewing at home? He was a leader, a visionary. People depended on him. But did that mean he should turn his back on someone like Jamal? The office awaited him, a hive of activity buzzing with anticipation. Chatter filled the air, with staff discussing projections for the merger, financial graphs, and their chances of success. Yet, beneath all that hustle, Michael felt alone. He wasn't ready to face the team, the enthusiastic colleagues who were oblivious to the personal turmoil bringing him down. "Hey, you okay?" Sarah, his assistant, stood by the door, her brow furrowed with genuine concern. She had been with him through thick and thin and knew him better than most. "Yeah, just processing," he replied. Forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes, she stepped inside, closing the door gently. "Listen, you can talk to me, you know. You don't have to carry it all alone." For a moment, he considered opening up, letting her in on the conflict raging inside. But instead, he decided to focus on the present. "I need to meet Jamal today. I can't lose my connection with him, not now." As the day dragged on, Michael fought to maintain his focus on the merger. Meetings and calls became a blur as his mind reeled with possibilities. He had committed to supporting Jamal, nurturing his potential, but every time he thought about taking risks with his time, he felt the heavy hand of his responsibilities pushing back. Later that afternoon, Michael finally found himself sitting across from Jamal in their favorite coffee shop. The boy was animated, flipping through a well-worn notebook filled with sketches of apps and ideas. His enthusiasm radiated, refreshing Michael's spirit. "Look, Mr. Wright. I made sketches for an educational app that could help kids learn coding easily. I think it could really take off," Jamal exclaimed. Eyes shining, Michael leaned in, his earlier burdens retreating for just a moment as he admired the boy's passion. "This is amazing, Jamal. You have a real gift for this." But when they dived deeper into specifics, the nagging feeling returned. "What are you thinking for funding? Do you have a plan?" Michael asked, his heart racing at the implications. "I was hoping you could help me get it off the ground," Jamal replied, so full of hope that it was infectious. Michael hesitated, the weight of his employer's expectations pressing on him. "I can help, but it has to be on my terms. I need to balance my commitments." Jamal's face fell, disappointment flickering in his eyes as he nodded slowly. "I understand. Just I thought maybe it hurt to watch him wilt." In that moment, the pressure of the merger felt like ashes in his mouth. "No, I just want you to know that I'll be here for you. We can make this work together," Michael assured him, willing himself to stay the course. But as he left the coffee shop, the internal battle raged anew. Could he risk the merger for something as uncertain as a dream? Would investing in Jamal mean abandoning his own vision? That night, Michael sat alone in his office, struggling against the ticking clock. Just as he picked up his phone to call Linda, an idea sparked, sending a thrill down his spine. What if the two paths could intertwine? If he could connect Jamal's project to the merger? Could this be the solution he was desperately searching for? A way to redeem the past, and elevate both the boy and himself? As the lights flickered illuminating his path, one question loomed large: was he truly ready to stand against the tides of ambition, and shape a new narrative? Michael's heart raced as dawn broke over the city the next morning. The sunrise painted the skyline in shades of gold and pink, but he barely noticed. Yesterday's meeting with Jamal replayed over and over in his mind, and the flicker of hope ignited by that idea was both exhilarating and terrifying. Once in the office, the atmosphere felt charged. Colleagues greeted him, their voices filled with the usual buzz about the merger. But Michael's mind was elsewhere, battling the growing connection between his corporate duties and the boy with the bright ideas. "Hey, Michael." Sarah's cheery voice cut through his fog. "Ready for the big presentation? I think we've nailed it this time." He plastered on a smile. "Yeah, sure. Let's do this." But the words felt hollow. The merger felt like a lifeline he was clinging to. But Jamal's passion stirred something deeper within him, something more profound than profit margins and shareholder gains. As Michael prepared for the presentation, his thoughts shifted toward a plan. The merger could benefit from a fresh angle, and Jamal's educational app had the potential to resonate with their target audience. It was a long shot, but what did he have to lose? The conference room buzzed with energy as his team settled in. Pushing aside the apprehension, he took a deep breath and launched into the presentation. Charts, graphs, profits. But there was something else he wanted to weave into the discussion: the idea of creativity, of giving back and transforming lives. Before we dive into the numbers, he began, surprising even himself. "I want to talk about innovation, not just in terms of profit but in terms of impact. This merger isn't just about merging companies. It's about merging visions, dreams, and communities." Curious glances exchanged around the room, but he pressed on. "I recently connected with a young innovator, Jamal, who created an educational app for children. I believe incorporating initiatives like this into our business could enhance our brand, create a bigger footprint in social responsibility, and yes, improve our bottom line. Questions sparked among his team. Some looked skeptical while others seemed intrigued. But Michael pushed through, his passion igniting the room. For the first time in weeks, he felt alive, caught in a current of purpose and excitement. As the meeting wrapped up, Sarah leaned closer, her eyes wide with excitement. "Michael, that was brilliant. I can't believe you did that." "Thanks, but it only works if we move forward with it," he said. "We need to give this a shot to show our commitment to something greater." A few voices chimed in with support, but Michael could feel the weight of others' doubts hanging in the air. How would the board react? Would they see his vision or dismiss it as just a distraction? Later that evening, Michael found himself back at the coffee shop, a mixture of anxiety and anticipation swirling within him. When Jamal waltzed in, a bounce in his step, he felt a surge of warmth. "I have some news," Michael said, unable to hide his smile. "I want to pitch your app idea to the board. They might actually like it. And if we can connect it to the merger." Jamal's eyes widened, mouth moving soundlessly for a moment. "Really?" Michael nodded, feeling a sense of empowerment he hadn't expected. "Yes, but we'll need to work hard. It won't be easy." Jamal's face split into a bright smile. "I'm ready. I'll take that leap." As they talked about the app's features and potential impact, Michael felt walls around his spirit begin to crumble. Maybe he could forge a path where both ambitions could coexist. Leaving the cafe later, a sense of hope wrapped around him like a warm blanket. He was ready to face his mother and the board with newfound determination. But that comforting thought was shattered as he turned the corner. His phone buzzed in his pocket, and he could already sense the impending avalanche. A text flashed on the screen from Linda. "We need to talk. It's about your mother." The weight of that looming conversation hit him squarely in the chest, the balance of hope and dread intertwining once more. Michael stood frozen for a moment, the city noises swirling around him like a distant storm. The vibrant world he just enjoyed felt suddenly muted, overshadowed by a weight he couldn't shake. He clutched his phone tighter, his heart pounding at the thought of what Linda might say. "About your mother." Those words echoed persistently in his head, knotting his stomach. She had been struggling for years with her health, and the thought of anything worsening sent a shiver down his spine. Taking a deep breath, he decided it was best to get it over with. As he walked toward his car, each step felt heavier, like he was wading through thick fog. He tried to push thoughts of the merger and Jamal's excitement to the back of his mind. This was about family, something far more urgent. Sitting behind the steering wheel, he hesitated, his fingers hovering over the ignition. What if she needed him? What if there was something he hadn't prepared for? The anxiety of facing Linda and his mother bore down on him, rooting him in silence. Just then his phone buzzed again, pulling him from his thoughts. It was a call from Linda. "Michael." Her voice was strained, almost breaking. "Can you come to my office? I think we need to discuss something important." His heart raced, the knot in his chest tightening further. "I'll be there in 10 minutes. As he drove, the pace of his heartbeat drummed in sync with the traffic lights flickering by. The streets seemed more crowded today, each car a reminder of distractions that threatened to pull him away from what truly mattered. Arriving at Linda's office, he glanced in the rearview mirror, searching for signs of confidence he didn't feel. Swallowing his fear, he stepped inside. Linda sat at her desk, papers stacked high in front of her. The usual bright smile she wore was replaced with a somber expression. "Thank you for coming, Michael. Please sit." Pushing through his anxiety, he took a seat, scanning her face. Something was wrong. "What is it? What has happened?" She sighed, running her fingers through her hair. "It's about your mother. You know she hasn't been well, right?" His heart dropped. "Yes, I know. Has it gotten worse?" "No, not worse, it's just there are things from the past that we need to address. I think she was trying to protect you this whole time, things about why she hasn't been forthcoming about her health." The words tumbled over each other in his mind, creating a whirlwind of confusion. "What do you mean? Protect me from what?" Linda hesitated, her gaze dropping to the desk for a moment before returning to meet his eyes. "There was a mistake. Something she hasn't told you, not even your father. It's about an old decision, something that could change how you view everything." Just tell me. Michael nearly shouted, panic rising in his throat. What are you talking about? With a deep breath, Linda finally spoke. I think your mother made a mistake regarding her treatment. It directly involves your family's history. It's bigger than we imagined. The words hit him like a freight train, leaving him breathless. His mind raced with questions. A mistake? What could possibly be bigger than that? As silence enveloped the room, his phone buzzed again, the familiar feel breaking the heaviness of the moment. You should really check that, Linda urged quietly, but Michael hardly heard her. Frantically, he fished the phone from his pocket, a new message flashing across the screen. It wasn't just any message. The words screamed urgency. Michael, you need to see this. It's about Jamal. A jolt of realization surged through him as dread settled like a stone in his stomach. What could possibly connect his mother's hidden truth and Jamal's world? Linda, he said, voice trembling. I need to understand why this is all happening now. And suddenly, he was caught in the eye of a storm, unsure if he would emerge stronger on the other side or be swept away entirely. Michael's fingers shook as he stared at the message, his mind racing to piece it all together. Jamal, his best friend since childhood, and now a rising star in their company, was usually the calm in his storm. But now the very thought of something threatening Jamal felt unbearable. What does it say? Linda's voice, tinged with concern, cut through his whirlwind thoughts. He looked up, his eyes wide. It's from Jamal. He says I need to see this about him. The words hung in the air like a fragile breath. Does he mean his health? Is he in trouble? The urgency in Linda's voice cracked with fear. I don't know. Panic surged in him. I need to call him. He dialed Jamal's number, his heart thudding louder with each ring. What could Jamal possibly need to say? The tension in the room thickened, and he could feel Linda's eyes darting between him and the window, as if searching for clarity. Pick up, he muttered under his breath. Finally, Jamal answered, and his voice came through, shaky but earnest. Michael, I'm so glad you picked up. I didn't know how to tell you what's going on. Michael asked, anxiety pooling in his stomach. This is going to sound crazy, but I found something. Something about your mom, and it ties back to me. His heart stopped. What do you mean? What did you find? Remember when we were kids? At the park? You asked me about my family, and I never gave you the full story about my mom? Michael recalled vague memories of their childhood talks, words hidden behind laughter and innocence. Yeah, but what does that have to do with this? We're not just friends, Michael. We're connected. Our mothers, they knew each other long before we were born. There's something they didn't share, and it's about their decisions and, well, it's about us. Michael felt the world tilt beneath him. Memories swelled up like waves crashing against his resolve. Wait, what are you saying? I think it's connected to what your mom didn't tell you about her treatment, Jamal said, voice trembling. We share more than just friendship, Mike. I think there's a family secret. The weight of his words landed heavy around Michael's heart. A family secret? What kind? It might explain your mother's health situation. She made choices based on what happened between our families. Choices that maybe weren't her to make. Michael felt lightheaded, his breathing quickening as he processed the implications. So, my mother made a mistake, exactly. And it might be the reason for her struggles. But you need to meet me. I've got the documents. We can unravel this. Where are you? Michael asked, glancing at Linda, who watched him intently. Meet me at the diner, the one where we used to hang out. I'll tell you everything. But hurry, I feel like we're running out of time. As he hung up, dread and determination mixed in his veins. Linda, I have to go. Jamal, there's something about a connection between our families. I can't believe this. I'll come with you, she said, rising from her seat. We need to get to the bottom of this together. With that, they rushed out of the office, the weight of the unknown pushing them forward. Michael's mind was a storm of thoughts, fears, and flickers of hope. What could this mean for him? And where would this revelation lead them? Each step felt purpose-filled beneath the fluorescent lights as they hurried to the diner. But deep down, a whisper gnawed at him. Would the truth about his mother's mistakes only bring them closer? Or would it tear their world apart? The unknown loomed ahead as they burst through the diner doors, eyes locked on Jamal's searching gaze. Was he ready for what they might uncover? The weight of the truth was coming, and Michael could feel his heart racing in anticipation. The diner was a familiar sight, one that sparked memories of laughter and late-night milkshakes shared with Jamal. But today, as Michael and Linda stepped inside, it felt heavy with possibility. The scent of coffee mingled with the remnants of fried food, but all Michael could focus on was Jamal's urgent expression across the room. He spotted Jamal sitting in a booth, papers spread out before him like scattered puzzle pieces. The tension in Jamal's shoulders revealed just how much was at stake. The relief of seeing him was quickly eclipsed by the seriousness of the situation. "Jamal," Michael called, hurrying towards him, Linda close on his heels. "Michael, Linda," Jamal greeted them with a nervous smile, though his eyes betrayed his anxiety. "Thanks for coming." Michael slid onto the bench opposite him. "What did you find? You said it was important." Jamal nodded, biting his lip, then gestured to the papers. "This document is from an old medical file. It mentions your mom's treatment history, but there's more. This goes back years, even before we were born." "What do you mean?" Michael asked, heart pounding in his chest. "What did they do?" "Your mom, she had a choice. It was about a medical trial, a potential breakthrough connected to a condition that affects families in ways we can't even understand." But Jamal paused, glancing at Linda as if weighing his words. "You have to know, it all intertwines with my mother's story too." Michael felt a chill run down his spine as everything shifted. "How? What does your mother have to do with this?" "I didn't know all of this either until yesterday," Jamal began, his voice barely a whisper. "My mom was involved in that initial trial too, but her decision was different. They chose different paths based on their fears, on things they wouldn't share with us. I think your mom believed the risk was too high, and that led her to stop treatment. The pieces were falling into place, but they only seemed to create a bigger, more complex picture. So, my mom's health, it was affected by a choice she made, a choice that was influenced by your mom?" Michael's voice cracked. A wave of emotion swelled within him, betrayal, confusion, anger. Jamal nodded, his eyes full of empathy. "Think so. They wanted to protect us, but maybe they hurt us in the process. We could have been treated, and Jamal, we need to know more." "What else is there?" Linda pressed, her fingers gripping the table with urgency. "There's a meeting coming up to discuss the legacy of that trial," Jamal continued. "It's important. We will finally understand what really happened. And if we go, we might get the truth, not just for your mom but for ours too." A mixture of hope and fear flooded Michael's heart. "Are you serious? This could change everything. But what if it's too late? What if my mom can't handle it?" Jamal leaned forward, his voice earnest, slicing through Michael's doubt. "We owe it to them, Mike. Whatever decisions they made, they deserve their stories told. But we also deserve to understand where we stand." The weight of the moment was almost unbearable. Michael's resolve strengthened, fueled by the love for his mother, and the bond he shared with Jamal. "Then we go. We need to get to the bottom of this. I won't let her suffering go unanswered." As the three friends gathered the scattered documents on the table, the looming shadows of uncertainty felt less intimidating. They were in this together now, ready to uncover the truth. But deep inside, a nagging thought lingered. What if the truth was worse than he imagined? Could they handle the weight of what was left unspoken all these years? Michael's heart pounded in his chest as they left the diner. The sun was setting, casting warm orange hues across the sky, but he felt cold inside. Each step toward the car was heavy with uncertainty. What lay ahead was shrouded in shadows, truths they were desperate to uncover and yet terrified to face. Linda broke the silence, her voice soft. "We need to prepare ourselves for what could come out of this meeting. It might change everything." "Yeah," Michael replied, his mind racing. What if it turns out there was a chance for her to get better, but it was all tossed away? How can we ever forgive that? He gripped the car door, pressing his forehead against the cool metal. The sting of betrayal blurred his vision. He felt like he was teetering on the edge of a cliff, unsure if he'd be able to pull himself back, or if he'd fall into a dark abyss of anger and despair. "Hey," Linda said, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Whatever happens, we're in this together. It's not just about your mom. It's about Jamal's mom too. Maybe we can find a way to help them both, even if it's just by understanding." Michael nodded, forcing a smile. He appreciated her strength. "I know. But still, I just wish I could have things back the way they were. I want my mom to be happy again." Their drive home was filled with a heavy silence, the hum of the engine an unsettling background to the storm brewing in Michael's heart. When they arrived, he trudged to his room, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. That night, sleep eluded him. He tossed and turned, images of the diner flooding his mind. Jamal's worried eyes, Linda's determined spirit, and the documents that could change everything. Finally, in the quiet of his darkened room, he grabbed his phone, hesitating for a moment before sending a message to Jamal. "Are you awake?" A few moments passed, then the phone buzzed. "Yeah, just thinking." "You?" Michael's fingers hovered over the screen. They shared secrets, jokes, everything that made them brothers. But this felt different. "Just what if we can't handle what's coming?" Jamal's response was immediate. "We have to trust that we can. Together." Michael stared at that reply, flooded with gratitude. It wasn't just about his family or even Jamal's. It was about the paths they had yet to walk side by side. The next day arrived with a sense of urgency. They met at the community center. The meeting was set in a large room with a long table and a crowd of unfamiliar faces. Michael could feel the weight of eyes on him as they entered. Each face held stories, wounds, connections forged in pain. As they settled in, Jamal leaned close to Michael, his voice low. "Just remember, whatever we learn today, it might not be the answer we want or expect. But it has to be told, okay?" "Okay." Michael's heart raced. But this time he felt something shift, a flicker of determination. They were there to seek truth, to unravel the past, and forge a path for their futures. As the meeting began, the air was thick with anticipation. A woman stood up to speak, her voice trembling slightly. "Thank you all for being here. Today we expose the truth regarding the trial. The impact on our loved ones." Michael leaned in, every word piercing through his uncertainty. Then she paused, her eyes scanning the room before locking onto his. "And it reveals a startling connection that could change our understanding of everything." Michael's breath caught. What did that mean? How deeply was he entangled in a world he thought he understood? He could feel the storm of emotions brewing again, but this time there was something else, an eagerness to finally face the unknown. What was this startling connection, and how would it alter their lives forever? The room fell quiet as the woman's words hung in the air, charged and ominous. Michael exchanged glances with Jamal, and he could see the worry flickering in his friend's eyes. The hopeful determination that had once sparked in his chest turned to apprehension, tightening like a noose around his throat. "Please continue," a voice from the back urged, breaking the thick silence. It was a middle-aged man, his face lined with concern. "We need to know what you've uncovered." The woman nodded, a glimmer of understanding passing between them. "What I'm about to share connects many of us here. It involves decisions made long ago that have repercussions reaching into the present." Michael's breathing grew shallow. Every instinct told him to brace for bad news, to prepare for buried secrets like the cracks in a dam just before it burst. The woman cleared her throat, her hands trembling slightly as she fidgeted with her notes. "Our loved ones were part of a trial that was never fully disclosed. The data we were given was manipulated, designed to show promising results. But the truth, it's darker than we expected." A wave of murmurs rippled through the room, fear and disbelief swirling. Michael felt the weight of it all pressing down on him. He could hardly keep up with his own thoughts. He glanced at Jamal, who looked equally lost, trying to make sense of the pandemonium. "Many patients didn't receive the treatment they should have," the woman continued, raising her voice to address the crowd. "They made decisions based on incomplete information, prioritizing profit over people." Michael's heart sank. He thought of his mother, of Jamal's mom. How many lives had been caught in this web of negligence, victims of a broken system? "No," he whispered, feeling bile rise in his throat. "This can't be true." Jamal squeezed Michael's arm, grounding him. "We need to hear her out." The woman pressed on, determination etching deeper into her features. "There is a crucial connection," she insisted, locking eyes with Michael once more. "Your families, they weren't just affected. They were part of a larger scheme, one that can still be fought against." Michael's heart raced as he tried to sort through the chaos of emotions. Fight against what? Was there still a chance to amend what had been done? A flutter of hope ignited amidst the storm of rage. "There's evidence," she said, "proof that can be used to pursue accountability." Michael could barely think straight. Anger battled with hope within him, leaving him struggling to breathe. Their world had tilted the moment they walked into that diner. And now truth after truth threatened to shake their very foundations. What do we do? Jamal's voice broke through the haze. How do we fight back? Together, the woman said firmly. Your unity is your strength. We must gather more evidence, collaborate. But we also need to be prepared. There are people who will resist this. Michael felt the weight on his chest lift slightly. A way forward was forming, yet he knew sacrifices might come. They could expose the truth, but at what cost? As the crowd buzzed with renewed energy, ideas and voices colliding, a singular thought struck him like a bolt of lightning. What happens when they break the news to their mothers? What ramifications would ripple into their lives? He needed to steady himself. Whatever awaited them next, they had to face it head-on together. But a lingering fear gnawed at him. The deeper they dug, the darker this could get. Could they truly withstand the truth? And what would it mean for them in the days to come? As the voices grew louder around him, one question loomed in Michael's mind. What sacrifices were they willing to make for the sake of justice? The atmosphere crackled with energy as the room transformed from shock to action. Michael looked around, seeing fire in the eyes of those gathered, a sense of collective empowerment brewing. Whispers of collaboration ignited discussions. People eagerly shared their experiences, stories turning into commitments, and Michael felt relief surge through him. Hope was fragile but alive. He and Jamal moved toward the front, alongside the woman who had shared the damning information. What's our first step? Michael asked, determination sharpening his voice. We need to connect with others who feel the same way. Patients, families, advocates, she replied with urgency. The more voices we gather, the harder it will be for them to ignore us. Jamal nodded. And the evidence? We can't just go in blind. We need a plan. Michael's heart raced at the thought of mobilizing everyone. But as excitement pulsed in his veins, a shadow flickered at the back of his mind, scared faces flashing. What if they risked too much? How can we get access to the information? The trials? After everything that's happened, the woman met his gaze, seriousness lining her features. It won't be easy. They'll fight to keep that information hidden. You're up against powerful interests. The thought clenched at his heart. The stakes felt unbearable. Yet, a glance to Jamal steadied him. This was about more than just him. What if we started a support group? Jamal suggested, his voice steady. People coming together could spark some change. We could learn from each other and connect with others who face similar challenges. The woman nodded, a faint smile breaking the tension. That's a great idea. Start small and build your base from there. Knowledge is power. That night, they sat together, Michael, Jamal, and the woman, amongst piles of notes and scattered reports, breathing new life into ideas that had only a moment before felt impossible. The uncertainty remained heavy, but each word exchanged bristled with potential. As days turned to weeks, news of their meeting spread like wildfire through social media, the whispers growing louder. Families came in droves, some with trembling hands holding evidence, others bringing tears and stories. Michael quickly realized how many had suffered at the hands of greed. Each story shared felt like a brick in the wall of their growing movement. Slowly, they created a sturdy foundation from their pain. But with every meeting, with every pledge to fight for justice, enemies emerged in the shadows. Smirks in dark suits and veiled threats whispered around them. Staring into the abyss of unplayed battles, Michael often found himself wrestling with doubts, especially when they faced pushback. What if they try to silence us? He'd asked Jamal late at night, eyes wide with fear. They can try, Jamal would reply, determination unyielding, but they can't take away our voices. Each time they stepped out into public view, strength swelled in Michael's chest, as if he could finally breathe again. They formed alliances with activists and lawyers, sharing research, creating plans. As they climbed one obstacle after another, they found solace in their growing community. But just as they began to think they could break through, a chilling message arrived late one night. It was from an anonymous source, filled with details that made Michael's stomach churn. It warned them to back down. Lives were at stake, and those in power would do anything to protect their interests. Do we really want to dig deeper? He whispered, dread settling in. Jamal met his gaze, unwavering. We're already in this deep, man. It's too late to turn back. We owe it to our families. The truth was out there, just out of reach. But with it came risks. The looming question pressed down on Michael. How far were they willing to go to uncover the truth, to seek justice for their loved ones? Little did they know, the fight they had ignited would soon take an unexpected turn, changing everything they thought they knew about themselves and their mission. Would the truth set them free or destroy everything they loved? The stakes had never felt higher, and Michael braced himself for the fallout that was just beginning. The days that followed were a whirlwind. What started as whispers turned into a passionate roar, and the community rallied around the cause. Families who had been silenced for too long began to share their stories, each revelation breaking the chains of fear that had bound them. Michael and Jamal found themselves at the forefront of an unexpected movement, fraternal leaders fueled by a sense of purpose and urgency. Yet, amid the growing support, the creeping shadows of doubt lingered. The message from the anonymous source haunted Michael. What if they were playing with fire? Still, every time he hesitated, he thought of his mother and Jamal's mom, each woman's fight sparking flames of determination within him. One evening, as they gathered for another meeting at the community center, Michael felt a surge of energy in the room. Families of all shapes and sizes filled the seats, their faces lit with hope. It was a stark contrast to the fear that had once held them back. Before he could take the stage to speak, Jamal squeezed his shoulder. "You got this, brother. They need you." With a deep breath, Michael stepped forward, scanning the crowd. "We are not just a group, we're a family now. We're uniting for our mothers, our future. We're here to expose the truth." The roar of applause pushed adrenaline through his veins. As he spoke of the journey, of how their pain and struggles intertwined, it lit a fire in the eyes of everyone present. He felt the truth course through him, the redemption of not only their families but the community itself. As they wrapped up the meeting, a sense of unity filled the air. There was fear, yes, but there was also strength. "Together we can make our voices heard," Michael declared. "We don't have to stand alone anymore." When the night ended, and the crowd began to disperse, Jamal lingered with a concerned look. "We need to keep our guard up. I'm worried what those in power might do." "I know," Michael replied, feeling the gravity of their situation. "We'll stay sharp. But we have to push forward. The truth needs to shine a light in the dark." Days turned into weeks as they gathered evidence. With activists and lawyers, they formed a solid plan, fueled by fierce determination. But the looming threat felt like a storm cloud following them, growing dark and heavy. Then one late night, a message came through their community group chat. "We can't be silent anymore. It's now or never." The call for a peaceful protest was met with fear and excitement. Michael knew they had to do it, take the fight to them. "This is our chance," he rallied to the group. "We need to be seen. We'll show them that we won't back down." As they took to the streets, their hearts beat as one. Signs held high, voices synchronized in defiance. They marched with purpose. The energy was electric, infused with hope and a sense of community. Michael felt a rush, a soul-deep fulfillment as they chanted for justice. But in the midst of their triumph, a news alert flashing across a phone screen thundered through the crowd. "Breaking news. Local whistleblower found dead." Michael's gut twisted at the report. Fear swept over the group. Their energy zapped as darkness crept in. "Stay strong," he shouted, rallying with defiance, but the fear was palpable. The road ahead started to feel more treacherous. Conversations turned hushed, concern woven into their faces. Days later, they met in an underground location, strategy clouded by fear as they huddled around a table covered in papers and sketches of ideas. Jamal drummed his fingers nervously. "What if we're being watched?" "I don't know," Michael admitted, his mind racing with doubts. "But we can't stop now. The momentum is too great, too many lives are at stake." Just as the meeting began to spiral into uncertainty, a knock sounded. The door creaked open and a familiar face entered, eyes holding a fierce determination. It was Linda. "What are you all doing? You're not going to let fear stop you, are you?" Mom Michael was taken aback. "What are you doing here?" "I've come to stand with you," she said, voice steady. "This isn't just your fight, Michael. It's mine too." With her presence came a wave of renewed energy. Jamal's eyes widened in astonishment. "You know about everything?" "Yes," Linda said, and the room fell silent. "And it's time we face the truth together." "What do we do?" Michael whispered, uncertainty clouding his gaze. "We unite, we fight, and we seek justice for everyone who has suffered," she said confidently. "You don't have to carry this burden alone." In that moment, everything clicked into place. A rush of understanding flooded Michael. This wasn't just about uncovering the truth for their mothers, but for everyone affected by the decisions made long ago. "I'm ready," he declared, feeling the old fears wash away. "Together we can push for change." The battle lines were drawn, but now he had the strength of his mother and community behind him. Reshaping the narrative they'd been living with new resolve, they rallied once more. The fight ahead would be fierce, but Michael's heart surged with hope. Whatever came next could bring light to the shadows, illuminating the truth held by silence as they stepped forward. The clouds thickened, but where there was uncertainty, there was also love. With hands clasped together, they moved into the storm with courage, ready to uncover their past and rewrite their future. In that unity, a powerful truth emerged. They were no longer just victims. They were warriors fighting for justice, for family, for legacy. Michael took a deep breath, the weight of what lay ahead both terrifying and invigorating. "Let us make this count," he whispered, stepping into the light with those he loved, ready to change the world once and for all. And as the sun set that day, casting golden hues over their determined silhouettes, it felt like the beginning of something beautiful, a journey full of hope and strength that would resonate through generations. If you're moved by this transformation and want to step into our next incredible stories, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support and be part of our journey. Don't wait not even one more second. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let everyone know how powerful this message is. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together we can be the catalyst for change. Join us.